My name is Rose Ortiz. I moved to Miami when I was 5. Grew up most of my life in Hialeah. Met Oscar when we were in high school sweethearts since age 15.
What high school?
St. Brendan High School.
Okay.
Oscar was at Columbus and I was at St. Brendan next door before there was a hedge and we could pass notes through the fence. And studied education, worked as a teacher, and taught at Blessed Trinity here in Miami Springs for 8 years.
Wow.
Our boys went to school there, Oscar went to school there, so a long tradition of Miami Springness. And we've got 3 boys. Our oldest Oscar, Sebastian was our middle son, and Lucas, our youngest.
My name's Oscar Ortiz. I'm born and raised in this neighborhood. Lived with my parents until I got married in Virginia Gardens, the house they still live in. And then Rose and I got married 24 years ago. We were fortunate enough we knew we didn't want to leave, but we were fortunate enough to be able to buy a house here in Miami Springs and raise our family and give our children sort of the experience I had growing up, which is a very positive one. Growing up here, went to Springview myself, and then went to Blessed Trinity, went to Columbus for high school, and never had any desire to leave this area. As Rose shared, we have 3 boys. Oscar, who's 20, Sebastian would be 18, and Lucas, who's 15. Love being in this community. It's been a big part of sort of who we are and what this foundation is.
Tell us, as comfortable as you are, about Sebastian's story.
So Sebastian was always a really healthy kid. He ran cross country, like basketball, loved to be outdoors, kind of kid who could get along with anybody, from the youngest baby to, he could be with 5-year-old 1 minute and an 85-year-old the next and feel just as comfortable with either age group. Healthy kid. His idea of a snack after school was a bowl of spinach or,
Oh, wow.
Popping some cherry tomatoes. Great kid, honestly. He was sweet, kind, smart, funny, but never cocky. Just all around kind of person that you wanted to be around.
And sophomore year in high school, he was a cross-country runner, middle of cross-country season, towards the end of it actually. He was running 50, 60 miles a week as part of training, eating
Wow.
really healthy, was in incredible shape. And one day tells us he's got a growth that feels a little weird. We ask if it hurts. He says, no, not really. I said, all right, if it hurts, we'll do something. So the next week, he said it's still hurting him. And so we went
Not hurting him, he just still
It was
felt it.
bothering him. He still felt it. And so the next step in the process was go to see a pediatrician. So we did that, and it was the night on October 26th. I went to the pediatrician with him. It was rough traffic. It was an 8 o'clock at night appointment.
Wow.
Really expecting this to be nothing. And the pediatrician said, this is something serious. You need to go to Miami Children's tomorrow morning. And still felt like this was getting real, but still couldn't imagine. The next day at Miami Children's, there were several procedures, diagnostics, and subsequent surgery. And that's sort of where it all started. We were told it's likely our son has cancer. That Friday it was confirmed. And then the thoughts start running through your mind in terms of what this means and what's going to happen. Because you hear about it from afar, but your world gets turned upside down. From there, Sebastian went through 14 months of really brutal treatment. No matter where we would have gone, we learned early on, we spoke to Sloan Kettering and MD Anderson, he would have had the same protocol. There wasn't a magic bullet, and this protocol happens to be 40 years old and not particularly highly effective. It's the best they have, but not good enough. So we He went through over 30 chemotherapies, 23 radiation treatments, 4 surgeries, 2 of which were brutal 7-hour surgeries. And we lost him after 14 months. And so through that process, we learned quite a bit about the lack of funding, the lack of innovation that exists in the pediatric cancer world, and we decided we needed to do something different so that in 40 years, other parents aren't facing the lack of options that we had, and that many other parents in this world have. So that was sort of the birth of SebastianStrong. And obviously, as a parent, I want to help others, and at the same time honor it. Because as Rose shared, the opportunity we continue the opportunity to share his name and share his story. Because that is very important to me. That he never be forgotten. Not by us, because that's not really a choice. We miss him every single day, but I need others to not forget him. And the foundation is a way to honor him while truly helping others in this situation or circumstance.
You guys set up the SebastianStrong Foundation, frustrated with 40-year-old protocols in medicine. What are the main goals for SebastianStrong Foundation?
So we have 2 main goals with the foundation. One is to simply raise awareness. As Oscar stated, before Sebastian was diagnosed, we didn't really realize the lack of funding that existed and how little progress had been made in the pediatric space. So just increasing awareness so that people understand that, pediatric cancer gets less than 4% of the National Cancer Institute's budget. Lots of big foundations, well-known foundations, focus more on adult cancers than pediatric cancers. Pharmaceutical companies don't want to invest. It's not a big moneymaker when you're a smaller population. So developing a drug that's not going to go out to a massive audience is not, as economically advantageous as marketing something that will. So kids they're kind of set up to fail in this scenario. So raising awareness is the first thing. And the second part is raising funding so that we can fund innovative research. Less toxic and more targeted. That's our goal. Sebastian went through so much chemotherapy. He went from running 6 days a week, 60 miles a week, to barely being able to walk because of the effects of the medication and the neuropathy that it caused. So those are the foundation's main goals.
Your foundation is a bit unique in the sense that you guys are specifically looking for less toxic, more targeted solutions. Some people want the awareness, and I think all the foundations want awareness. Some foundations are set as a support for families that are suffering through it. Your team is specifically looking for less toxic, more modernized, and more targeted solutions. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, the 4 pillars in sort of the childhood cancer world for foundations are advocacy, spending time in DC trying to change laws and increase funding, support, family support, whether it's financial support, because this process can be very taxing on families. Whether you have insurance or you don't have the financing. Some people have to travel. We're fortunate to have a couple of facilities that can treat here. So for a lot of folks, that isn't the case. And then you have awareness, which more people know, I think, the more it changes, and research, which is really where we've decided to focus our efforts. And the idea or the hope behind that is if we do the research right, and this isn't something that happens overnight, but if we get to a point where we have a cure, all the others are unnecessary. And research in particular, because we talk about less toxic and more targeted. Sebastian's chemos, as they are for many people, but they're particularly brutal on children. One of his chemos obviously had physical side effects of neuropathy, as Rose spoke about, but some of the others, when he'd have to go in and take them, he'd have to have an ultrasound of his heart, knowing full well that it was going to cause cardiac damage. And that's sort of the choice you have to make at that moment, which isn't really a choice. It's do I take a chance at saving my child, knowing that this is, in a sense, I'm kicking the can down the road. I've now come to meet several families whose children were technically cancer survivors, but after that 5-year period of time, they passed as young people due to organ failure, secondary cancers, because that's the brutality of current chemotherapy. And the way it works is it's a poison that goes throughout your entire body, and as much as it's supposed to get some of the bad stuff, it hurts some of the good stuff too. So when we talk about less toxic, more targeted, and the example I'll give is Sebastian passed away in December of 2016. We were scheduled to take part in a clinical trial that was a vaccine trial. And effectively what it was supposed to do is it took tumor, some of his existing tumor, and then they were going to take some of his white blood cells. And I won't do this medical justice, but in a lab, they were going to introduce the two and sort of say, okay, white blood cells, when you see this tumor, these kind of cells, then you attack those, and sort of teach the body. It's a form of immunotherapy to teach the body to fight off and kill the disease wherever it is. That's what we hope for, to truly find cures, because unfortunately so much of what exists out there today are really treatments and not cures. There is some innovative stuff happening right now with leukemias, and part of, which is fantastic. And part of that is because leukemias represent nearly 30% of the overall pediatric cancer population, and adults get leukemia as well. So it creates for more research. Sebastian's diagnosis was rhabdomyosarcoma. There's 300 to 350 cases a year in the U.S. So there's not a lot of, and there's other rare cancers that fall into that kind of category, but that's what makes it really difficult for, as Rose shared earlier, pharma and the government to fund, because it really doesn't make sense financially for them to do so, unless it has some sort of broader benefit at the adult level to a larger population.
So one of the ways that you guys are raising funds for childhood cancer is through the SebastianStrong Foundation, specifically the Run Walk. You had the first annual event last year here in Miami Springs. We did it here at the Curtis Mansion. This year you're doing it here as well. Can you tell us, when will that 5K Run Walk be?
So this year's second annual Childhood Cancer Awareness 5K is on November 10th here at the Curtis Mansion. We hope to open registration for the end of August. And then we also have a gala that evening that'll be in the Wynwood area at the Rubel Collection Museum. So we are in the process of finalizing details and getting our invitations ready for all of that.
So can you register for both events at Sebastian Strong? Was it SebastianStrong.org?
SebastianStrong.org. We will have links on the website where people can register for both events. Yeah.
That'll happen by the end of August, and there's also a link to support us as sponsors. A big portion of to put on events costs money, as much as we thought nonprofits meant everybody else did stuff for free for nonprofits. That is not the case. Right. It costs money to put on events. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of support from this community, and we hope and expect to better what we did last year. Last year we had 900 race registrants, and in between volunteers, over nearly 1,000 people here. We hope to best that. And as far as the gala this year, because last year we went with a more modest expectation of people, and we sold out to really sponsors before, when we had a total of 300, and the space didn't really have more. We didn't have a way to expand, so we were sort of stuck with the 300, and felt bad that we weren't able to broaden the audience, but we expect to do that this year. The location we've selected holds up to, I think it's 750, 800 people. So
Fantastic.
The goal is to be able to have more participate, because we think it's a wonderful way to create awareness and, again, to raise the funding. One more, I want to touch on one more thing regarding what we've done so far, because when we started this, really didn't know what to expect, and I recognize a lot of the initial funding and support was to support our family, to support Rose and I. But in just about a year, we funded nearly $200,000 in research. Over $100,000 to the University of Miami, and then we've also had partnerships with Johns Hopkins University in Maryland, and Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And one of the things I want to convey to people that I came to learn as well is when you start something like this, people think you need to raise $1 billion to bring a drug to market. Unfortunately, in pediatrics, it's much more like venture capital, where you're giving these researchers seed money, which they desperately need to get something, because their goal really is to get something to a level where it raises the interest of the pharmaceutical industry to say, oh, that project's showing promise. Now here we're going to bring in the bigger money to sort of take that to its next level, if you will. So what we do, and what other foundations like us it's critically important that we do this, because you talk to these physicians, they are scrambling for these $50,000 grants. It was an eye-opener for me when I started to learn that. And like I said, we had solicitations from someone at Johns Hopkins as well as someone at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So this is not a local problem, so we're not addressing it locally. This is a global issue, and we want to work with the best and the brightest doing the most innovative work, so that we can find an answer for others.
So not only are you guys out looking for doctors and facilities that can help you, but they are actually actively seeking your assistance as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple of physicians on our medical advisory board. They're the ones that actually sort of validate the viability of the medicine to make sure that it makes sense and it aligns with what our mission is. So they handle that part, and then we decide on the allocation of the funding that goes there. But we're very proud to be able to do that in year one, and expect to build upon that as we continue to grow and share the story.
And we appreciate you sharing the story here with us. Folks who are watching this video and want to help you help out the Sebastian Strong Foundation, what are some of the things that you recommend they do?
Visit our website, www.SebastianStrong.org. You can follow us on Facebook at Sebastian Strong, and on Instagram at SebStrong. And there's lots of things that really anybody can do. You can hold a dress down day at work. You can donate your birthday on Facebook. You can, what's that painting place?
Painting with a Twist.
Painting with a Twist. There's lots of ways to do fundraisers and raise funds. And like Oscar said, every dollar counts. So 2 years in a row, a school in Doral their honor society has given us $500. That's been part of their service project, and it's $1,000 that we've gotten between last year and this year. So that money went to research and went to increasing awareness. So there's really lots of things that you can do, and on the website there's some other ideas of things that you can do. Spread the word, even just spreading the word, even just letting others know that we're around, and let others know how critically underfunded children's cancer really is. The more people that know, the more interest there'll be in making a difference, I think.
Excellent. Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming down and joining us and letting the community know more about Sebastian Strong, your foundation, and how you guys are helping kids who are fighting cancer. So thank you for sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please support Sebastian Strong. Donate online at www.sebastianstrong.org. Thank you.